Hello, everybody on Facebook. So we are doing a dual live tonight. We're going to give this a try. And I'm going to use my computer like I always do to share that stuff all over the place.
Yes.
So yeah. If you are on YouTube, welcome to Free Spirit Talks. We have never done a Free Spirit Talk on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, welcome back.
Welcome back. Yes.
We're a little crazy today, like always.
Well, we're not dressed in elf costumes. You know.
No, we are not.
Some of us are going to be dressed in elf costumes. Shh. What? I'm giving away something?
You are giving away my secrets. My 12-day secrets.
Oh. 12 days of elf magic.
I don't think that's what I labeled it, but that might be cool. So let me turn that off. I'm having phone issues, guys. I'm really sorry.
There you go.
Knuckles.
Right.
There we go. We're back. We're back.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. I think we're a little crazy.
Okay.
So today's talk, I'm Addison Bell. Sex and abundance, heart-centered sex and abundance coach, and this is crazy.
I'm crazy. No, yes, well, actually I am. No, I'm Kendall Williams. Also a sex coach, but not really. I'm moving into prosperity coaching, law of attraction, getting into alignment, and obviously overcoming challenges over here. Yes, that was our voice.
That was our voices.
We don't listen to ourselves.
No, we don't.
No. All right. I'm taking a time out because my dog needs in. So.
Wow, we are really crazy today. Go for it.
She's scratching at
That's
the door.
fine. Go take care of Phoebe. So today's topic is the power of the bounce. And what we mean by the power of the bounce, it's all about how you are kind of bouncing your vibe. How are you bouncing your vibe? Are you kind of bouncing all over the place with your vibe? Are you, when your vibe gets down, are you able to bounce it back up to a high level, or are you just kind of staying flatline down here?
Oh,
and when is it too bouncy? Because there are those people that are way too bouncy. Like the wonderful thing about tickers, like those kind of people where it's too bouncy. And our vibes can get too bouncy too. So,
and that's really just, the power of the bounce. When you said this topic to me, because I talk about bouncing a lot, right? Like I'm always talking about, it's all in how quickly you can bounce out of a negative mood, how quickly you can bring yourself up and out of that well that we can get into. And the power of the bounce to me is not so much just the too bouncy. The too bouncy would probably be that we are caught in this vicious cycle of needing coffee, of this vicious cycle of dropping down into that negative state and then bouncing ourselves out of it, but not maintaining that vibration, that emotion in any stable fashion, which would say to me that if you're bouncing too much, if you're consistently crashing and forcing yourself back up, then probably what's going on is that you're really not being authentic, and there's just no happiness there.
You're probably never actually in an authentic high place. If you were just kind of doing this all the time, then you are authentically down here. Now, we all do bounce a little bit. Like there is going to be movement. That is being human. Being human is there is going to be a little bit of movement in our lives and our vibrations. However, it is not authentic if you are bouncing up and down. Then the high point is not authentic. The low point, unfortunately, is going to be your authenticity, not the high point.
Yeah. And really in that aspect, a lot of the stuff that, I don't know, the low point, because nobody really wants to be low, right? We don't want to be low. That's why we take medications and drink too much and work too much and have these addictions in life, because we're trying to mask our lack of joy in our life. And we just manage to cover it up. The power of the bounce in that instance, though, is to try to flip your thinking, thus your emotions, over to something that is more positive. And I always talk about, just coming back to gratitude. What are you grateful for in that moment? And it sounds like a really easy practice. How can that bring you from a really negative state into something? But it is having gratitude for the present moment, even if the present moment is really not so great. Man, I was a word right there. I just beat myself out.
You did. You're like, I'm gonna not cuss yet.
Slow my words down. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it is just in that you're bringing yourself into that present moment, and you're experiencing gratitude for the opportunity to see the challenge, gratitude for for the lessons that you're learning, for the time spent, and the things that are still to come. Anything that you can bring yourself into gratitude over is going to help you get into that upward motion, so that bounce, so that you're elevating your vibration, elevating your emotion back up into a healthier state.
Yeah, and I think a true healthy bounce is actually only going to be a small bounce. So if you've got a scale of this is the lowest emotion you can have, these are the highest, or non-emotion vibrations you can have, then a healthy bounce isn't going to be between both of those. A healthy bounce is actually going to be between like a couple degrees of a bounce. So like if it's like a scale of 1 to 10, it's going to be between, an 8 and a 10 bounce, or a 3 and a 5 bounce. So that kind of like, okay, well,
you can't pull yourself up. You cannot go from depressed to joyous in one bounce. It'll be fake. You can fake it. You can turn around and go,
I'm so grateful. I love my life. Right. We all know those people who are like, oh my God, I love my life. But
they have neighbors across the street that are like that. They're scary happy. They're scary happy because it's so fake. Hi. And they're actually a great story, because it was 6 months ago.
Yeah,
we were both here, and we answered the door, and at the door is the neighbors across the street, and they're delivering cookies. Sweet neighbor thing, new to the neighborhood, they're bringing cookies. But they were like if anybody's ever seen Stepford Wives, they were like the Stepford family. It was this picture of joy, happiness, fake. They were almost like just some sort of weird mechanical doll family that had this plaster smile on their face.
The child, I think, had a script.
Everything was
the child
scripted.
Had a script.
Their emotions, everything about him was just this scripted, and it left this very eerie feeling. We were making wisecracks about, like, I think the family across the street are axe murderers. They're probably going to kill us or something. And it's just like, it's really, really terrifying because of the lack of authenticity. And that's what happens when we try to bounce too high and try to hold this high point so that it's perceived as though we're happy, it's perceived as though we're joyous, and instead what are we coming across? Like creepy, absolutely creepy. You're better
and just not really authentic, not true to self. Because yes, there is a level of like, you are going to have, and I've actually seen a ton of memes and comments about this. I was actually going to write an article, and it didn't get written, something else came through, on this last night. Like, I was thinking about it because I've seen lots of people talking about like, you shouldn't be faking it till you make it. That's that. But there is a level of like, yes, you are going to purposely have to go like, no, I am going to choose to feel good right now. I am going to choose to step into that next level. However, you don't want to be faking it so bad that you feel so incredibly unconnected to self. There's a difference between going like, no, I'm going to choose to find the gratitude in this situation. I'm going to choose to, go and do that thing that, I don't really feel like doing, but I know is going to move my energy. That is different than I'm having the worst day of my life and I'm going to go give cookies to my neighbors and pretend like I am just like on top of the world. Actually, I'm like crack. How it was a little scary. We're happy people, but that was pretty
That was, yeah, it was
that
overboard.
was over
It was
the
overboard.
top.
It was definitely overboard on that. And yeah, I mean, there's that, you know, interesting, you shouldn't be faking it until you make it, yet at the same time you have to, in order to move yourself forward in anything, you know, it really is. The article I wrote this morning on, you know, surrender, that the importance of surrender and receive. And that is the same thing as like you're surrendering to gratitude. You're surrendering to moving forward. That's not necessarily a faking it thing. Faking it would be plastering on, you know, the makeup of the big smile and life is perfect and life is all this, and just coming out and downright lying about things. Like if you're broke and you come out and go, man, I just made millions and blah, 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 but you've got zero in the bank, then that's probably more of a faking it scenario. Or, man, I'm madly in love with this person, but you're actually contemplating divorce. That's faking it. And that's unhealthy in any situation. Scenario. That is more like what you were talking about. You know, it's elevating you up, but you are just coming up 2-3 steps. So you're moving into this phase of just finding almost an acceptance, a peace, moving from negativity into a peaceful state. Even if you move like depressed up into angry, that's a better.
It's a movement.
It's a movement. It's a movement up the emotional scale. And then from anger, you can move into a state of, you know, like maybe there's frustration, maybe you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, something like that. But then where are you going from there? And
maybe to a state of peace, which doesn't have any direction, but it is at least higher.
Right. From a state of peace or a state of boredom, those two emotions are really kind of that middle ground, or the horizon between the vibrations of emotion, and you get to really truly decide in those moments as to, am I going back down or am I climbing up this ladder? And from
it's like
those,
the fence emotions.
Yeah.
Gotta choose the side of the fence.
Pick it, and then, you know, ultimately if you move up the ladder, which is, that will be the catalyst to take you up to that joy, that bliss, that joyous state. And gratitude and love is definitely at the top of that list.
Yeah. But it is important to actually also just be truthful with self when you are kind of in a bounce, because I think we get it really. So I know that you and I both really talk about like kind of moving forward and stepping. Like we can be very like, and I'm not going to say the word, I'm just going to very. Oh, it's so hard not to cuss. It's so hard not to cuss. Very much like butt kickers. There we go. Butt kickers. We can be very butt kicky. And like pushing forward and like get into that positive vibe. Move yourself forward. But there's also a level of like compassion when you are a little bouncy, and like your vibration maybe potentially goes down. Like I know last week I had a day where I was just like, I'm just not feeling my normal like super high vibe energy self. I'm feeling like a little bit low. And recognizing when like you've bounced a little down and giving yourself compassion while also not like using that as an excuse to stay there. So realizing like, okay, I'm here. Well, okay, now it's time to move up. Or maybe for a second, it is a chance to go like, I'm going to just let myself be here for a moment, knowing that I'm only going to allow this for this amount of time. And then I'm going to choose to bounce and have that like compassion for self. So not letting yourself continue down that path. And so you are choosing to bounce, but having compassion when you are in those lower moments, as well as those higher moments when you are like feeling good. But I think we can beat ourselves up, especially in the spiritual community and people who are very law of attraction focused and wanting to kind of move their life forward. It is important to, and our YouTube just died.
Our YouTube just died.
YouTube just died.
Open app again, I guess.
Hold on. Yes, try that again.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Technical difficulties on YouTube. Resume our live. Yes. Hold on.
Reconnecting. All right.
And we're
still going. Okay.
There we go. So what I was saying was, I think when we are very much in that like law of attraction state, we're wanting to kind of be always pushing forward, but there's also a piece of law of attraction of the contrast, of noting where the things that when you're not feeling good and going like, okay, I feel this and I'm going to choose to feel better. And I feel this, and this is showing me what I don't want. And so now I'm going to move towards what I do want. I'm going to refocus.
And that contrast is also where you find the gratitude, because when you experience good things, it's hard to consistently appreciate good. I mean, imagine if you always got what you wanted. Would you even notice that you're getting what you wanted all the time anymore? You wouldn't. It's really that spoiled child syndrome thing going on, right? The kid who never gets told no. There goes YouTube again.
Well, YouTube go.
I'm gonna just keep pushing.
Try one more time.
It is that spoiled child scenario of when a kid gets everything that they want and they're always getting told yes.
That trust fund baby thing.
They're just like, yeah, it's just like all of a sudden there's this demand and they're no longer appreciative of what they actually have, to the point that they might assume that all the blessing that they have in their life isn't even blessing. And that it's like, oh my gosh, my life is horrible because mom, for the first time in whatever years, told me no about buying the newest whatever, right? Or told me no to going here or going there. And we tend to do that no matter, it's not just a spoiled child thing. It's just human nature that when we receive, and there is never that contrast of something that we perceive as negative coming back in, then we lose gratitude for it. We don't have the appreciation when we're constantly getting exactly what we want. So we have to actually have a little bit of pain there so that we can see how great life can be. Yes. And it's in those moments that when you feel that pain, that's where you go, oh wait,
that was a blessing.
That was a really good blessing. That was, and show that appreciation for that. I mean, show it during, but in those moments, it helps you to really, really feel into that. While you were talking, it came to me that it's like, okay, well, so we're talking about the power of the bounce and bouncing and everything. Well, how the heck do you know when to bounce? How do you figure out when to bounce? Because some people are probably going, what the heck are they talking about? Bounce. Bounce, boing, boing, boing. Yeah, no, we're not talking about Tigger bouncing. We're not talking about,
that is fun too.
Or bouncing on a trampoline or anything like that. It is an energetic, emotional, mental bounce that you're doing, and it starts with your thoughts, and then it moves into the emotions, which changes your vibration, your frequency. But how do you know how to YouTube? And how do you know how to actually bounce? I mean, what would be some of the things? I mean, from your viewpoint on that, what would you do?
So I would say first thing to know when you need. So
you're stuck in a really, really negative state. You're down there. You're just wallowing in it. Okay, you are wallowing.
So first of all, your emotions are the key. They are like the key to know when you need to do some bouncing. When you need to, and it's not even bouncing. You need to just raise at that point. When you notice yourself in consistent negativity, negative belief systems, that's the key. However, also, if you find yourself like pushing and pushing and pushing on something and it's not happening, that is a sign to you that you are not in alignment in some form or fashion. There is something that is off, and so that is a key to look at your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, your beliefs, which all kind of go together. Different, but not. So that would be my viewpoint, is really looking at your life. And sometimes you are in a good space and you still have to bounce, but instead of bouncing down, realizing you're down, you have to go, okay, so, and kind of like I was just saying about if you're pushing on something and it's not happening, potentially you're not in a low point, but potentially your direction actually just needs to be up higher. Mm-hmm. You don't need to bounce any lower to go higher.
Yeah. So
what would you
find
to your own question?
It's a question that came to me that I'm pretty sure somebody's going to ask in their head at least. What came to me was, how do you know? Well, number one, you're not going to know until you know, and which means the key point to figuring out when you need to bounce and pay attention to life and everything that Addison's sharing here is that first moment that you realize that you're down and that you're stuck in this wormhole of negativity. Mm-hmm. Because until you become consciously aware of being stuck, you're going to remain stuck. You cannot change what you are not consciously aware of.
Yes.
So it's like, but every time, I mean, it's just like you're in this vicious fight sometimes. And, you know, like if you're arguing with your spouse, with a friend, with a child or something, and you're arguing, there is a point in every single argument where all of a sudden this little voice pops in your head and goes, what are you doing? You know, like, what are you doing? What's the point of this? I completely forgot what even the point of the argument was. Everybody goes through that because you get into this heated battle and you're just really now trying to be right. You're trying to make this point. And then all of a sudden a voice just triggers. That same thing is happening when we are in a down point or when we're needing to, you know, like where you're pushing. Well, you have to become consciously aware whether you are really depressed about something, really angry about something, or you're vibing pretty high, but you're just still stuck and things aren't moving quite right. You have to become consciously aware of, man, I am really trying to control this scenario and I'm really pushing. And what I actually need to do is let go and bounce. And that is what it really is that's that let go. I mean, it's not to, to pull in an Abraham Hicks thing here, because I think it's such a great visual.
That's, really
but
what we're talking about.
Esther Hicks, she talks about, you know, when she's doing the talks, she's always talking about a cork. And it's floating on the water, and then you pull the cork down. That causes that resistance. You pull the cork down, and as long as you're pulling it down, there's a lot of resistance. There's a lot of suffering, a lot of pain. It's a lot harder for it because the cork's not supposed to be down. It's not supposed to be like that. But as soon as you let go, the cork pops back up, and all of a sudden it's back into alignment. And it just is that easy. And that is right. And then it's just floating, and it's just going along and doing what it needs to do, and it's on its course. And that's the bounce. It is that, you know, like you become consciously aware that you are pulling yourself down in some way. And that pull down, that feeling of frustration, anger, depression. And I just talked about this morning on Conscious Coffee, was that, you know, that when we are feeling that resistance right there is just that we're not in alignment with our true self.
Yeah.
And it's nothing more. That our emotion, the power of emotion is just saying, hey, you're angry, you're upset, you're sad, you're fearful, you're this, you're that, because you're not doing what your soul wants you to do. You're not in alignment to your core, to your truth. You're actually fighting it. And
our emotions are gifts. No matter what those emotions are, they really are our gifts, because they are our messages of here's how you're doing, here's what's going on, they are our soul messages. And we tend to kind of fight them. And you actually mentioned this on Conscious Coffee this morning. And for YouTube, Kendall does a Conscious Coffee every morning on Facebook.
And I roll it over here to YouTube all the time.
Well, and it's amazing.
So I've been doing that. It's my commitment to 2019.
Golf clap.
All my Conscious Coffee.
Golf clap.
Can we clap like this?
Snaps.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm going to shoot her.
No, but I forgot what I was saying.
Talked about it on Conscious Coffee this morning.
It's
Alignment,
something to do with
emotion.
soul. Yeah, I forgot. Oh well. I'm gonna let it flow because it wasn't meant to be. But I think we can get down on ourselves for bouncing, but it is important to know that we all bounce. Kind of going back to the first points that we made a little bit, is you do have to be careful that you're not bouncing too much, because I know those people who, and I down and then I'm up and then now we're Facebook. Now we're down and then we're up and going, okay, like something is not right here. Like I shouldn't be up and down like this. That's not a healthy bounce, which means that I am down here, and kind of having compassion and recognizing.
Well, when you're bouncing like that, it shows that you're being triggered by outside influences all the time. So you are consistently wavering. It's kind of like, you know, if you believe in nothing, you'll fall for anything. And that is the exact thing that's going on, is that your energy is not stable in who you are, and you're just not embodied fully. So you're getting pulled out constantly. So you're basically ebbing and flowing with whatever is coming at you. So life is dictating to you your bounce versus you being in charge of your bounce if you're fully embodied.
Which we all should be in charge of our bounce, because we are all the center. I was making this point on a course I was doing last night, is that we are all the center of our universe, and so it is important to kind of get into that center of our universe and not allow other people to, like you said, dictate our bounce so much and kind of dictate our own bounce, whatever that is for us, whether we choose to kind of stay in the low point or choose to kind of move forward. And it is a choice. There is a choice there. Because I know there are times when I go like, no, I just need to feel this right now. Like, I don't need to move myself upright in this moment right now. There was actually it was 2 weeks ago. You were actually there. You were like, you need to just go cry that energy out. And I did. I was I was vibing high, and then I just had some energy that needed to just release from my body. And I was like, I'm not having any negative thoughts. I'm feeling pretty good. And I really just needed to sit in whatever my body was letting go of in that moment and just kind of allow myself to have my hour or two of falling under my Christmas tree, because that's what I did. And then move on. And then go, okay, now it's time to get into my gratitudes. Now it's time to push my vibration back up. But right this second, I'm going to make a choice to not bounce. I'm going to make a choice to release and stay with self, knowing that I'm not staying here.
What I hear from you in that moment was you coming into a point of letting go, because you were trying to contain. And what I saw, I remember this moment pretty good, because I felt her energy right there, and what it was. And she wasn't, I know you weren't in a bad space or anything. There was stuff, nothing horribly bad going on by any means. But at the same time, all that emotion had built up, and what it was I saw you trying to control and hold it all in. So in your ability to just go, okay, now I am going to just let myself cry, even though I feel like I don't have a reason for it. I obviously do have reasons for it. And that reason was to just surrender into the moment so that that cord could pop back up. Yeah.
So there are times when we can choose not to bounce. And it is, first of all, it's a choice. If you're choosing not to bounce, it's a choice. If you're choosing not to move into a higher vibration, you are making a choice. And sometimes it's okay to make that choice for, I'm going to even say just for a little while. It's okay to make any choice, but I wouldn't recommend you stay in the low vibrations.
No.
It wouldn't be my choice.
A little bit of practice. I always tell people, I'm like, what used to take me 2 years to get through, I can now get through in under probably 2 weeks. And what used to take me a few months to get through, I can now bust through in about 20 minutes. And, and it really is that, but it just requires the practice of having grace for self, that compassion of just, all right, no, this is where I'm at. That, I don't have to constantly show up perfect. You made the statement to me about, we don't always have to be vibing high, and it's okay to, no matter who you are in this world or what you're doing or, anything like that our vibes all come up and down. Yes. And it is okay to low vibe sometimes, because the way I look at it and what I heard is, I'm like, my low vibe of today is so much higher than what my high vibe of 10 years ago was. Yeah. That what I think is a bad vibe, oh my goodness. And that's just not even. That's
a really good point when you make that. I think back and I go okay, because sometimes I go I still want to move higher in my vibe. But if I really think about it, and first of all, I can relate to just moving through things faster. But my low vibe is not even close to my high vibe of 10 years ago. Not even nearly close. 10 years ago, my vibe was. Let's not even think about that, because that's just going to bring in negative energy. But I can move through things much faster. And yet I'm still working on that. I think we're all working on that, and we both follow a mentor. She makes millions of dollars, and even she will say I'm having a low vibe day. Yep. And it's okay. It's okay.
And her low vibe day is
much higher.
I want her low vibe day, right? Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that low vibe day. But it's not.
I only made $1 million today.
And it's not, it's not anything of the physical world. The vibe is really truly just of that emotional state. I think that sometimes you just wake up and you're just vibing low for whatever reason. And other times you wake up and you're just like, bam, on fire and just can turn on to life. But it really is, how quickly can you become present with where you're at? Because as soon as you become conscious of it, that's where you actually open the door to being able to change it. And until that happens, you might bounce, but it's going to be bouncing all over and not such a pleasant way. And if you wait for, I think the difference, and probably you can agree with this, is that the difference of my low vibe of today and my high vibe of 10 years ago is that of today, I am more present of everything. And I know I have certain skills set in place. I've done practices, so things are more habits to me. So I don't even really realize when I kick into things, but I do know that I become conscious in a moment, and then from that point of consciousness is how I make my turns on this little road trip that I've decided to take in my emotions and thoughts. And where 10 years ago, even in my high vibe, I was not conscious to the level that I am today of even, what was going on in my thought process and my emotion process. I was still pointing fingers and looking outward and like, oh, he did this or she did that and this happened and that happened. And it was, all these outside.
I'm joking. I'm joking, not joking. You were in victim mode. You're in your ego, which we all get in.
I was completely in. I was a lot more in my ego state of being, and it was really, that's like, I was bouncy, all right. Everyone was like, oh, you're always happy, you're not scared of anything, and then the flip side of it was that I was severely depressed and angry, and my fuse was very, very short, and it was just one of those things where now people look at me and go, man, I always talk about, I installed a pause button. And it's like, well, you've got a really big pause button because I can really hold it for a massive amount of time. And it's not that I'm holding back the emotions in that, it is that pause of, is it really the outside influence that's doing this? Or is this just something that's triggered inside of me that's causing this to come in? And now I'm feeding it. Now I'm watering the negativity plant that, yes, this was a trigger, but I'm choosing to water it.
Which it's always a trigger, and you're always choosing to water it. That's the answer to that.
Of course.
And I speak from personal experience on that one. But I think also, so we've been talking, when you were talking, what I was hearing was like you've got things in place to work with your bounce a little bit. So what are like your top, let's say 2? Because I know you enough to know you have like a ton of things that you
listed. I probably can't even come up
with.
You do,
and I could probably come up with your list more than you probably could because you do some of them automatically.
Yeah. So what are my top 2?
What are the top 2 you consciously choose?
I consciously choose to do to bring myself up, to create the bounce.
To work with your bounce, wherever that is. To bounce higher or to recognize or...
I think, well, number 1...
stay out of the bounciness, whatever.
I think the biggest thing is that pause button. I kind of look at the Staples red button. That's what I envision in my head. It's like, hit the pause button. Hit the pause button. I really should get that, like, Staples red button. Because like, I pretty much run around hitting that thing all the time. Which, hey, motherhood, that's what it does.
I don't have a pause button. I'm not good with the pause button.
That is probably like my biggest thing, is that pause button. And it was something that I learned in Kabbalah years ago. And it came through the Kabbalistic studies. And it was just, become the witness. And I changed it to a pause button. But it was to become the witness of what is going on. And as soon as in that process of becoming the witness, you have to slow down. So that pause often comes from that I do have a daily meditation practice. And I think that is one of the biggest things. It's hard to become a witness to your internal world if you never create space to have stillness within inside yourself. There are so many people that I know, and people in my life even and in my past, that really dislike being alone to the point, and I'm not talking about, there's a difference of being alone and being lonely. Completely different things.
Yes, there is.
And because you can be alone and you can not, and you can be completely fine. And people who really truly have a challenge though with that will always have a TV on, always have the radio playing, can't get in the car without, turning the radio on and listening to the game, listening to music, can't do anything without having, earbuds in, to constantly have some sort of noise. Those same people have a tough time sleeping. They have to sleep with a white noise box. They have to do all these different things because they need that constant chatter of some sort.
Constant
stimulation, because if they don't have it, oh my goodness, they have to deal with their own thoughts. They have to deal with their own existence and what's going on in here and in here, and that's scary land that we don't want to go into. Yeah. But meditation really takes you into that, and it is through that pause, that stillness, that you meet yourself, that you strengthen yourself, you fully embody yourself. And it really is, it's like you're going in and you're seeing that these monsters in the closet, is
self-created.
They're self-created, and it's like, it's the whole thing of you think that there's a bunch of dragons to go fight, and then you find out that it's just a bunch of paper dragons out there, and there's really nothing there. But we're scared of what is not even the non-existence fact. So that's
your false evidence appearing real.
Yes. So I would say the biggest things that I do is I have my daily meditation practice, which helps create that space of stillness so that I can actually create that pause button consistently, because I know what the stillness looks like, so I can go to it. And it is just shutting this thing up in moments and go, change the subject, I need a timeout. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. Or just really just holding it and breathing it in and allowing yourself. And I think this is the other key point probably, is that we are so uncomfortable as a society with emotion and with anything that comes up in our bodies that we have to disperse of it quickly. So we have to get rid of it. So, we're fidgeting. We do all these different things to release the pressure of any emotion, good or bad, doesn't much matter. We're trying to release it because we don't know how to hold it. And that just shows that our containers are weak. Our vessels are weak in those moments. And the only way you're going to strengthen your vessel to hold more is to just hold it. And that again is that pause button. So, and just because it's going to be uncomfortable. So you've got to want it enough to breathe through the discomfort of whatever's coming up.
Yeah. I think I have a greater pause button than I said. I do, but I'm not great at in the moment, like pausing. But I can witness. I am good at witnessing. I think for me, again, I have lots that I think I do unconsciously, but I'm really in tune with my emotions. Sometimes probably too in tune with my emotions. No, I'm really in tune with my emotions, and I think I'm really, really good at checking out throughout my day unconscious. And I don't do it. I don't go, okay, it's 2:00. I'm going to check in on my emotions right now.
It's not true. She has an alarm that goes off on her phone. It goes, check your emotions, check your emotions.
But I think I am really good at just doing that naturally. And so I'm always checking my emotions and then going like, okay, well, what's this about? Where is this coming from? Am I taking on other people's energy and stuff? Because that impacts my bounce. I have to work very diligently, not hard, but diligently to not take on other people's stuff that will impact my bounce. And then I also have my morning schedule. And there's not one thing, the meditation, the journaling, any of that my morning schedule in general holds my bounce. Because I start my morning, even if I'm just not feeling it, I still start my morning with my gratitudes, my journaling, my meditation that puts me in a good space. Now, my journaling, depending on where I'm at in my bounce, might be slightly tweaked. That's the one that sometimes will get pushed because I also don't want to be doing manifestation journaling. when I'm in a low...
When you're not feeling it.
When I'm not feeling it, when in a low vibe. But what I'll do instead is go into, like, I ams, like, and I mean, affirm the shit out of stuff. Being like, and I'm the first one to cuss on Free Spirit Talks today. But just kind of go. But I think really it's not one thing in my morning routine. My morning routine keeps me in my bounce because it's a non-negotiable in my life. So it gets me in tune with where I'm at, what I'm feeling, where my vibe is. I mean, like from the second my eyes open and sometimes even before. So
yeah, and I mean both of us have that.
Yeah,
I mean it really is. It's that morning. I tell people all the time the most valuable point of your day is truly those first 3 hours of your awake time. And, you know, over and over again, I'm giving the homework of don't let your feet hit the ground without getting out, 5 to 10 gratitudes. Like as soon as your consciousness comes into play, where are you going? For the majority of people, they're going into, oh my gosh, this is what I need to do. I've got to pay these bills.
What is Facebook saying?
What is Facebook saying? I was talking to a man the other day and I said, what do you do? Like, tell me how you wake up in the morning. And he's like, I'm like, so the alarm goes off. What do you do? And he's like, I turn the alarm off and I grab my phone and I surf through emails. I go, okay, so you're barely awake and you're surfing through work emails. And he's like, huh?
You have just given your entire self and day away to somebody else.
Yes. And that's like all instantaneous. What comes with that is now all of a sudden you've got this feeling of anxiety, of stress, of frustration, of, like duty kicking in. You have not even taken a moment for self-care at all. Where if you just lay there and half the time I come into consciousness and I'm like, okay, turn the phone off and then go into the gratitudes, like don't just pull your covers up and go, no, I'm going to just stay here. I'm going to just breathe into this and stretch, connect back to your body because you've been asleep all this time. So I think that part of that process in the morning definitely needs to be that embodiment of like, not just the positive affirming of what you're grateful for and what you want for the day, but also that it's that reconnection into the physical self. Yeah. And just, really allow yourself to feel.
I would agree with that. Yeah. And I would also add just kind of going throughout the day, continuing to really, really just take moments. And if you actually do, in order to get into this practice, if you need to set an alarm, like in all seriousness, it's actually a good pattern to begin your habit to kind of maybe set an alarm 3 times a day and just go like, check in with self. Well, that's gonna help your bounce to begin with. And then also making sure that you're so I know, have created lives that we really love. We have jobs, we work for ourselves, we love what we do, we have created the life we want. But I know a lot of people, they do have a 40-hour-a-week job where they don't like it, and they do have all this stress in their lives and things in their lives that they don't necessarily love. So it is important to find the gratitude in those things. Why are you doing those things? Why are you choosing to do those things? What are the little things you can be grateful for throughout the day? And how can you include things that will naturally kind of elevate you, make you more playful, make you laugh, make you just feel good. And it is all about finding those things that make you feel good in your life. So yeah.
There you go. Power of the bounce. That really comes back to just tapping into what feels good. Yeah, it is. I mean, you summed it up there perfectly. Yeah. So.
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
I feel
bouncy. Yeah.
No, jump on the trampoline now.
Cold out there.
It is. No, we're gonna go eat.
Cold out there.
Eat some lunch. And Christmas.
Yes. And Addison's helping me decorate the house. So that's
yay.
Well, finish decorating the house.
Yeah. You're already pretty decorated.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah. It is. So I am Addison Bell.
Do you have anything that you want to announce? On Free Spirit Talk?
Not really.
I know.
I am doing some elf stuff later on in the season. I'm doing 12 days of, I haven't named it, I guess. I'm doing 12 days of Addison Elf Magic. Okay, thank you for naming that. And yeah, that's really all I want to announce. I have quite a few things in the works, but nothing that I am feeling ready to kind of let the world know about yet.
Yeah. Well, and I don't have a massive amount in the works. I've got closure on a whole bunch of different stuff, but I am doing 2 months of free coaching for anybody that does my coaching programs, because as of this next year, all my coaching is moving to subscription. So this is going to give a whole bunch of people an opportunity to get a nice amount of coaching done in a program format. So if that's something that, if you want one-on-one coaching with me, definitely take advantage of it, because that deal leaves Christmas Day. So it is my Christmas present to everybody. And
it's actually a great deal. That is an amazing deal.
It's like $800-900 worth of coaching that I'm just giving away for free, that I'm adding on to any of my programs. I don't think, what else do I have going on?
Well, and I think just in general, we both had, this year has been a year of creating lots of online courses and programs. So check out both of our websites, because we have, we're doing 1 to 2 courses a month lately. And so we've got lots of content, lots of stuff. So if you want it, go check it out.
That's right.
So my website is addisonbell.net.
Mine's kendallwilliams.com.
So we will see you in 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
2 weeks on Christmas Eve.
Oh.
We will be Christmassy.
Yes.
And I think we're just gonna, and I'm gonna announce that I'm making the decision for us. So we have thus far created our topics like 2 weeks in advance. And so I think we're gonna start, I'm not gonna say what I'm gonna not use that terminology on Free Spirit Talks. We are going to go a little more free with our talks and our topic, as far as we'll probably be announcing them like maybe a day or two, but making sure that
they planned.
Yeah, or we could just go free completely. So we'll see. But I think we're gonna go a little freer in the new year with our topics. So yeah,
this is a first. I'm new to this, just like you guys. I have no idea what she's talking about.
Yeah, I think we're gonna.
She's just throwing this out here. I'm like, okay.
But we will be Christmas off the cuff. No,
okay.
No, not completely off the cuff. We're not going that free.
I do that.
I know you do.
Every day.
I know you do.
And you do too.
I do.
See? So we could do it.
We could. But do we want to is the key.
I don't know.
We'll have to talk. We're going to have to communicate. The relationship coaches are going to have to communicate. No, we'll be doing something Christmassy for Christmas Eve. So check us out then. We will, I'm sure, be playful and jokesters.
Maybe we'll both be elves on that day. You'll be ending your elf series.
I'll be ending my elf series. So anyway, we have some food that's about to be delivered, and I'm really hungry. So we're going to let you go.
We're going to say goodbye for now. See you in 2 weeks with whatever topic
we come up with.
All right.
Bye, everybody.